It was the first day of school. Laughter and chatter filled the courtyard as children rushed past each other, their backpacks bouncing with every step. Parents offered last-minute hugs, teachers waved clipboards, and the whole building buzzed with new beginnings. For Jenefer, this day was more than just the start of a school year. It was the beginning of a personal journey. She stood near the entrance, her straight blonde hair tucked behind her ears, green eyes wide with a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Her pale hands clutched the straps of her backpack tightly. Jenefer had Down syndrome. But that didn't define her. It was only one part of who she was. Just a piece of a much bigger, brighter picture. Her mother bent down to her level, gently holding her hands. "You're going to do amazing things today, sweetheart," she said softly. Jenefer nodded, her smile timid but genuine. She turned and walked toward the classroom door where her new teacher greeted her with a warm voice. "Welcome, Jenefer. We've been waiting for you." Inside, the classroom was already buzzing. A few children looked up as she entered. Some offered polite glances. Others whispered among themselves. The first activity was introductions. When it was Jenefer's turn, the room grew quiet. She took a breath, then spoke clearly. "My name is Jenefer," she said, slowly but confidently. A brief pause and then applause. Her teacher started clapping first, then the whole class followed. It was small, but it mattered. At recess, things got more complicated. Some kids tried to talk to her, but others avoided her. Some stared at her. She didn't say anything, but she saw it, every time. She always noticed. Her voice was soft but steady. When she stumbled over a word, she didn't panic. She took a deep breath and tried again. Her teacher gave her a reassuring nod and smiled. "Well done, Jenefer." During reading time, Jenefer followed along closely. By the end of the day, her name was no longer unfamiliar. It echoed in the classroom like it belonged there. And it did. It was only the first day, but already something had shifted. People saw she was different. But what they hadn't seen yet was her strength, her patience. The cafeteria was loud. Trays clattered, kids shouted, and the smell of mashed potatoes filled the air. Jenefer held her lunch tray tightly, scanning the tables. She knew she had to choose fast, linger too long and someone would point, whisper, or worse. She headed toward an empty spot at the corner. But just as she approached, a girl from another class slid into the seat. "Taken," she said without looking up. Jenefer hesitated. Another table. Same result. She moved again. And again. Whispers followed her. "That's the Down girl, right? She's slow. I heard she can't even read properly." Jenefer kept walking. Her eyes stung, but she blinked away the heat. Finally, she reached a bench near the trash bins. Out of sight, out of mind. She sat down quietly, opened her lunchbox, and tried not to hear. But the silence didn't last. A grape hit her tray. Then another. Murmurs of amusement. A group of children nearby began tossing their lunch. "Nice catch, smart one." "Oops, it slipped again." One boy stood up and walked past, sticking out his foot. Jenefer tripped, her tray flying, food splattering. Jenefer didn't cry. She hit the floor with a dull thud. Her lunch spilled across her shirt. Her eyes stayed on the tiles. Her hands trembled. The cafeteria went still for a beat, then erupted with mocking laughter. She held back her tears. Silent but strong. She didn't scream. She stayed on the ground, her palms pressed against the floor. Enough. Through the noise, one voice stood out. It wasn't a teacher. A classmate named Liam had stepped in. He marched up to the boys who were laughing and pointed. "Pick it up." He stood tall in front of the boys and ordered, "Pick it up. Do it now." Standing tall, he faced them and said firmly, "Pick it up." Liam knelt beside Jenefer, helping her gather the scattered food. No one had ever challenged them before. Liam knelt next to her and gently helped her collect the spilled lunch. He said, his voice calm, "Is everything all right?" He said, his voice calm. Her head moved in a shaky nod. "Next time, sit with me." A teacher rushed over, too late to stop what had happened, but not too late to see what was happening now. Liam stood and helped Jenefer up. Together they walked back to the bench. Not by the trash cans but near the center. The stares continued, but now there were fewer whispers. And more silence. 'Cause something had shifted. This wasn't just another lunch. It was a moment. And Jenefer, still trembling, still quiet, wasn't invisible anymore. For the first time, Jenefer walked into class with her head a little higher. It wasn't that everything had changed overnight, but something inside her had shifted. Liam had spoken up for her. Only one stood beside her when everyone else stayed silent. That moment hadn't erased the pain, but it had planted a seed of something new. Possibility. Courage. A feeling that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't completely alone. During art class, the teacher asked everyone to paint what bravery meant to them. Some students painted soldiers. Some drew superheroes with capes and masks. Jenefer painted a heart. It was a simple shape, but it stood out. Bright red. In the middle of the page. Nothing fancy but full of meaning. "What made you choose a heart?" the teacher asked gently, stopping beside her desk. Jenefer's voice was quiet but clear. "Because bravery isn't loud. It's how you keep going. Even when you're scared." The class went silent. No one laughed. No one rolled their eyes. For once they just listened. Even the ones who usually whispered during everything. Later that day, when the teacher asked for a volunteer to read out loud, Jenefer raised her hand. Everyone turned. There was a pause. A few eyebrows lifted in surprise. Then, Liam smiled and nodded toward her. "Go on," he said. "You got this." She took a breath, opened her book, and began. Her words weren't perfect, but they were steady. She stumbled once, but didn't stop. She kept going sentence by sentence. Every word was like a quiet declaration that she belonged. By the end, her cheeks were flushed, and her hands were trembling, but the room was quiet. When she finished, something unexpected happened. Applause. Soft at first, then growing. It wasn't just Liam this time. It was everyone. The teacher clapped too. "That was wonderful, Jenefer." You could see the pride in her expression. Not because of the praise, but because she'd done it. She had done it all by herself. Without anyone fixing it for her. At lunch, a girl from another table came over. "Would you mind if I sat here with you?" Jenefer hesitated, then smiled. "Sure." Soon there were 3 of them. Then 4. Liam passed by and gave her a thumbs up. She grinned, her heart beating faster, but in a good way. That afternoon, when they had to pair up for science, Jenefer didn't wait. She walked straight to a girl she barely knew and asked, "Wanna be partners?" The girl blinked in surprise, then nodded. In a single day, something had started. Not perfection, not popularity, but presence. Jenefer wasn't invisible anymore. And the classroom had changed, just a little. Enough to feel it. Jenefer entered the classroom the next morning with a quiet confidence. It wasn't loud or showy, but it was there in the way she walked, in the way she looked people in the eye. She wasn't hiding anymore. That day, the teacher announced a small project. "Everyone will create a poster about something that inspires them. You'll present it to the class tomorrow." Some kids groaned. Others rolled their eyes. But Jenefer's fingers gripped her pencil with purpose. She already knew what she wanted to do. At home, she stayed up later than usual. Her mom peeked in and found her coloring carefully, gluing words cut from magazines onto a bright sheet of paper. At the top she wrote, "Real strength is quiet." She filled it with images, hearts, footsteps, bridges. At the center, she placed a photo of her and her mom from when she was younger. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers. The day after, they each stepped up to show what they'd created. Some talked about athletes. Others chose famous singers. Then, it was Jenefer's turn. She stood up, carrying her poster with both hands. A few students exchanged glances. Someone at the back whispered, "Let's see what she came up with." Jenefer unfolded her poster. Her hands were trembling, but she began. "My inspiration is people who never give up. Even when things are hard. Even when others don't believe in them." She pointed to the picture of her and her mom. "This is my mom. She always believed in me. And now, I've started to believe in myself too." The room was still. A girl near the front whispered, "Wow." Even the one who had teased her before stayed silent, watching. As she ended, the teacher slowly walked toward her. Her eyes were a little shiny. "Jenefer, that was brave. And beautifully done." Then she added, "There's a creative arts contest coming up between schools. It's for students who express themselves in unique ways. I'd like to recommend you." Jenefer blinked. "You really think I could do that?" Teacher smiled. "Yes, you." As the bell rang and students packed their things, a few came over to her desk. "I liked your poster," one said. "Your voice sounded strong," another added. Jenefer smiled wide and real. She tucked her poster into her backpack like a treasure. She didn't say much. She didn't have to. Something had shifted again. The auditorium was packed. Students from different schools had gathered for the regional creative thinking competition. The topic: how one person can change the world. Backstage, Jenefer stood still, holding her poster close to her chest. Her heart was pounding, not from fear but from excitement. She had worked for weeks. This wasn't just a competition for her. It was her voice. Her story. She glanced toward the front row where her classmates from room 6B sat. Few of them smiled. One gave a thumbs up. And Mr. Collins nodded slowly. His gaze was filled with quiet pride. When they called her name, Jenefer took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage. The lights were bright, but she wasn't afraid anymore. Not like the first day. She had grown. She knew who she was now. She began speaking. Not reading. Speaking. She spoke about her mother. About quiet evenings drawing together. About learning to turn pain into pictures. She spoke about kindness, not as an idea but as something real. Something she had felt and given. "I used to think I was just different," she said softly. "But now I know. Being different is my strength." The room grew still. You could feel it. Some students leaned forward. A judge wiped their eyes. Even the ones who used to tease her now sat frozen, listening. Then she lifted her poster. It was filled with images, hearts, bridges, footsteps. At the center, a drawing of her and her mother beneath a giant yellow sun. The lines weren't perfect, but it was real. It was hers. As she finished, a tear slipped down her cheek, not from sadness but from release. From finally being heard. The silence was broken by one clap. Then two. Then the whole hall erupted into a standing ovation. Later that day, when the results were announced, Jenefer stood quietly in the back. Her name echoed across the auditorium. First place. She walked to the stage slowly. The medal felt cold in her hand but warm in her heart. Someone whispered, "Isn't that the girl they used to ignore?" Another replied, "They call her Genius Jenefer now." She looked out at the crowd. Not as the girl who once sat alone, but as someone who belonged. She smiled. Not for the applause, not even for the medal. She smiled because she had finally shown the world who she really was. And the world had listened.